But I believe we do have picks and bans ready here for game 2, so let's go ahead and get those going here so we can see what's happening with that.
And Fatal Ghost was also phenomenal in game 1. I mean, he just only fell once, and that was towards the end of an extended engagement underneath that Phoenix. That crit build on the Olliieee, good matchup against the Jingwei, because even though Jingwei is going to build crit because of how the way her kit works with the explosive bolts, Olliee's passive is that he can't get crit more than once in a short period of time. So you're not too worried about taking those trades as Fatal Ghost, so you're going to be able to outtrade the enemy Hunter most likely because crit will be in your favor, and no one was really on top of him. SoaR need to make an adjustment. Baronic, it should not be the focus anymore, at least if Fatal Ghost plays the way that he did in game 1.
Yeah, definitely that late into the game, Fatal Ghost was the one that should have been the focus. As you said, it seemed like he was almost unlooked at the whole game. Would have been nice to see how much damage he took, because it probably wasn't that much, as Strictly Business ended up taking out Odin early, and then SoaR banned out Scotty, so those are pretty standard. We expect to see.
Hell taken away by Strictly Business as well, and even though it's because Shaliber really plays that god very, very well in the mid lane. Did long before it was meta, so I like that ban. But Strictly Business again gets Terra in this first pick position, and Matt Koi's played that so well. Kind of surprised that SoaR was willing to give it up.
Kronos is the first pick here for SoaR Gaming, as a go along with Robin to get him a lot of pressure here on that side. Kronos also very late game, so if we end up seeing another like 42, 43 minute game, then you got to worry about Kronos swinging in those late games.
And Keegs is very, very comfortable on this Kronos, a really strong pick for them. Keegs was able to make some impact in that game, but not a big one.
Yeah.
Getting him a comfort pick early on, I like where SoaR's head's at. This is a really strong pick in the meta right now, and it's one of your Hunter's best gods.
Sobek does end up getting locked in here for SoaR Gaming on that right-hand side.
Sobek and Olliieee banned away, and Fatal Ghost played that Olliieee so well, can't really blame SoaR for banning that away. Ra the ban by Strictly Business as they look again towards Shaliber, and that's a different god than Shaliber's used to playing. Probably some scrim information from Strictly Business, because that has historically not necessarily been in his god pool.
And it looks like SoaR even respects on the right-hand side that Jingwei pick. Even though they don't take it, they banned it out for him this time, so they throw it back.
And Erlang Shen, pretty potent there. So now it's SoaR's time to make the pick, and it's going to be Guan Yu, actually, surprisingly enough, trying to get those heals. God that we haven't seen in a long time, but was loved on the console for so long. I'm not surprised that that's where his resurgence could be. So now it's Strictly Business to try and return. They still need Fatal Ghost and Kaden, so Kaden going to go back to the Thor, deciding that, you know, the early stages of that game were not necessarily what Kaden wanted to go out on, so ends up turning it around in the late game, and don't mind that pick. And then Apollo for Fatal Ghost, another god that can really start to get the ball rolling early, so I like where Strictly Business has with this draft. SoaR only need one more pick, likely for the mid lane Shaliber here, and with the Hell and Ra band away, Scylla could be another option, though there's a lot less setup this time around for SoaR, so it's a matter of what he wants to go for.
Yeah, and I like that they picked up that Guan Yu too. Last game we saw the Terra sustain kind of come in a little bit in some of those engagements, so this might even be an attempt by SoaR to try and counteract that a little bit. Zhang Kui ends up being the pick here, and maybe this is an attempt by SoaR to try and be down the line tanky, or at least hard to kill.
And this is classic Shaliber. I mean, you play Scylla game 1, Zhang Kui game 2, definitely looking for that extra bit of tankiness so that he doesn't get one shot in the late game by Baronic, as he almost did in game number 1. Plus a pretty good matchup into Thor, because that poke damage is going to be a little bit less relevant, because A, you're tankier, and B, you can heal up right afterwards with that card and exorcism combination, and you can interrupt the Berserker's Barrage if he's right on top of you with that stun. So there's a pretty, decent matchup for Shaliber in this one. Just a matter of if he's going to be able to get through that early game where Zhang Kui can really struggle.
And speaking of Zhang Kui's early game, we see Shaliber picking up the item here. Looks like he's working towards maybe the Warlocks.
Could be working towards Warlocks, right? No, it's probably going to be Gem of Isolation or Ethereal Staff. It's that uncommon Sash start that you have to go for Warlocks. Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a Zhang Kui start with this Fortified Scepter right away, so I'm interested to see where Shaliber's going to go, trying to rush that extra HP and mana right off the bat and find that Gem of Isolation early on, or do you want to go for the non-stacking health option with that Ethereal Staff?
But overall, it seems like his overall goal is to be harder to take down over here. So that's going for some health early is going to help him out with that, especially because we saw Relating last time be very aggressive. Over here in the right lane, though, Ryan Jarman taking it alone here. It's Stormy Rays and Relating both over here in the right side. And then in the middle lane, that's where we're seeing Kaden and Baronic hanging out. So again, where the jungler's starting is very important here in these early games.
This time, Kaden ends up starting in the mid lane instead of on the right-hand side on his own speed buff. Now he's going to go over there, but no, I'm sorry, he already did start his own speed buff, and Baronic was able to get there in time. Zhonghui's level 1 clear, not particularly good, so that's why he's able to get there and find that mid wave just about the same time as him, as Medieval Doc's the one piloting the Guan Yu, and it's StormyRaize on the Sobek in the solo lane, I should say. And Medieval on this Guan Yu, I like it in most scenarios, but this is a great Apollo pick from Strictly Business in response, because now you have that Mesmerize to interrupt the Talu Assault very, very easily. And while Matt Koiz can, of course, interrupt it as well, not quite as reliable.
Relating and StormyRaize going for the invade here on the speed buff, relating very low. Kaden, or Thor rather, so strong in these early engagements, able to get first blood for Strictly Business. That's going to be very important.
Horrific Emblem not making the difference there for SoaR Gaming. A little bit late on that. Just a late recognition that they needed to run away in that scenario. And it's a little bit of a different look for Jarman. Instead of the Xing Chen, the Guardian that wants to play the lane passive, now he wants to play aggressive on the Sun Wukong and immediately punishing SoaR for not respecting it.
Good dash there from Matt Koiz, because Medieval Doc and Keeks are hanging around looking to try and get a stun off on him. So good job there, making sure that they kept him from, or that he was able to avoid the stun coming out from Keek, because that very likely could have been for a second kill, or at least first blood there for SoaR.
Shaliber in this mid lane, again, going to this Fortified Scepter start, it does make some sense, because you're able to get 3 potions just like you are with Uncommon Sash, but you're not going to be able to get that quick stack, and don't know if you really want to start with that, as Kaden teleports forward, looking to find the block off on a Medieval Doc, but Medieval realized that he could be in a precarious situation with a quick dash away. Kaden looking a little bit more quick with the thinking this time around, and that's exactly what you expect to see from a guy who had a really good late game in the first game of this set. Sometimes it's all it takes. I mean, this is week 1, remember. We're rebroadcasting this because we had to cut it short last week. Week 1 of the SCL could just been a little rust for Kaden. Now seems to have shaken it off and is looking like his old self again.
We're seeing a lot of aggression from Medieval Doc and Keeks over here, and I really like that coming out from the Guan Yu and from the Chronos. Now, though, Fatal Ghost have been able to establish a little more pressure over there, so now they're at least keeping those mid waves even, as now it's Ryan Jarman and Kaden who are over here on the right hand, leaving StormyRaize alone, as Relating did have to go back to base.
And Jarman's got a 2-level lead over StormyRaize right now, who was denied his blue buff, and now that Stormy is hit level 5, he can use that Lurking in the Waters to clear the wave and regain some of his lost mana simultaneously. Lurking in the Waters really good for that mana regen, but I don't even know if Stormy has enough to use it. And look at the potions that he went for. He went for a health chalice and then just other health potions right on top of that, so wasn't worried about getting his blue stolen away. Probably should have been in this scenario. Has to wait until this wave gets all the way under tower before he can just auto-attack it down.
And that's great timing on forcing Relating back and StormyRaize having those mana issues, because the speed buff for Strictly Business was just about to come up. So now we're able to see Baronic and Kaden rotate over there to get that speed buff without any kind of worries about any kind of aggression from SoaR Gaming on that right-hand side. So recognizing it, picking it up right away, and StormyRaize does eventually use that ult to try and get some mana back.
Gets all the way up to half mana, a little bit more than that even. So now it gives him enough to try and fight over this blue buff. Should Strictly Business try and invade, and based on Baronic's positioning, Kaden actually on SB's own blue, but of course has that ultimate to get there just in case they want to fight it.
Yeah, you couldn't tell Ryan Jarman that he was up there alone. Not from that positioning, at least. He does get that ultimate actually forced out. I believe we also saw the Horrific Emblem committed there in that engagement as well.
Kaden looking to block off Shaliber, does so successfully, but knows he can't use the spin to win quite yet. Now going to use it on Medieval Doc, a 4-man grouping from both sides. Still Final Judgment being charged, fired off, hits 2, but not a lot of damage.
Yeah, Baronic does commit the ultimate there, but it wasn't enough to get anything out of it. But it's Kaden now who's up into the air. StormyRaize very low, and I think actually catches the dash there too. StormyRaize into the ground thanks to Baronic and Kaden teamwork there. Now it's Relating. Nice stun for Baronic. That was actually really far range and able to get him stunned out, but Relating still had the overhead kick, so he's able to get out of trouble. But now Strictly Business are going to take this blue.
And they get the speed as well from Relating, so Kaden gets a double dose of the speed buff, and I like where Fatal Ghost is. He actually used the ultimate to get into the mid lane, realized the team fight wasn't going to continue. Strictly Business had already forced him out, so instead he picks up that free farm in mid, doesn't end up losing too much on the left side either. And that's using those global ultimates together, and that's what Strictly Business comp has plenty of. The Terra's ultimate, the ultimate from Thor being the semi-global, and then of course across the sky as well.
And they really do a good job of stretching out the map there. Just like you say, we saw Fatal Ghost try and come down there and take those oracles, but Keegs gets back just in time to stop it as Relating takes a good bit of poke there from the Caden, Maloaise, and Baronic combo there in middle lane. So that's going to be a struggle for Keegs, not on that Jingwei like from last game where he can come back and come right back. He wasn't able to be a part of the right or stop that push from Fatal Ghost in mid lane. So good job using your kits from your characters very well as a 5-man unit.
And that's what you kind of expect from Kronos, though. He's not going to be able to make that rotation in the early stages. He doesn't even want to make that rotation in the early stages. He's much more concerned with just getting as much farm as possible. Keegs doesn't want to fight for another 10 minutes, probably still. 15, 16 minutes should be finishing your third item around then at least, and then you're able to really start the engagements going in your favor. Until then, Kronos just wants to passively farm this lane, and that's good for Fatal Ghost because he really wants to do more of the same unless he can use that ultimate to get into the fight.
Now, Shaliber does end up going into the penetration boots or the shoes of the Magi here before finishing out that first item there on his mid lane build. Is that what we're expecting to see? Go ahead and get those boots first for the mobility before finishing out that first item?
Zhonghui doesn't have any mobility inherently in the kit, so I think that it does make sense for him to get the boots early on. I still don't think that starting the problem is with certain mages is that you don't have a lot of good starting options. As Zhonghui, you want an early Ethereal Staff or Gem of Isolation, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to start it, though Shaliber has here, and that is one of your best options if that's the route you want to go. You don't want to start like Soulstone Boots 1 because then you just don't have enough power to clear the wave consistently, and then you feel like you're wasting your start. You don't want to really start Bancroft's Talon either, Tiny Trinket, because you don't want to build into that as a Zhonghui. You need some more survivability. That Bancroft's not going to be quite as useful, though of course can fit on just about any mage. Do you want to start Soulstone Lost Artifact and just wait on it until you build Rod of Tahuti 4th or 5th item? A possibility, but it messes with your power curve a little bit. This could just be Shaliber saying, I know I'm going to want Gem of Isolation or Ethereal Staff at some point in the early game. It's a good enough start. I get 3 potions, you get some health, you get some mana, you get some power. This is enough for me to start the early game, and then I'll just use it whenever I need to.
Stormy Ray's having some trouble over here in the solo lane side up against the Sun Wukong of Ryan Jarman. Look at that tier 1 tower already down even below 50% health. So if he can get even more pressure over here on this right-hand side, it wouldn't be too hard to imagine us seeing an early tier 1 tower taken down as Caden tries to invade the speed buff over here, and it's Stormy Rays who gets pincered in and gets taken out very early. Then it's Caden actually with Relating dropping down on top of him who falls as well. So it is a 1-for-1 here so far, but Ryan Jarman not ready to give up on Shaliber just yet.
Good sprint pop by Medieval there. Caden with a perfect wall once more to cut off Stormy Rays, but was a little bit too slow to go up into the ultimate to save his own life. Shaliber's ult gets some good value there as SoaR looked to secure their jungler's speed buff, but stolen away by Maloaise and company. SB with another successful invade. They get both buffs on the right-hand side again, and look at the lead this has gotten for Ryan Jarman. He's up 3 levels right now on Stormy Rays, a level for Caden, and that's only because he died in that engagement. If he's able to stay alive, he's probably up 2 levels on Relating. This right side of the map has quickly become a problem for SoaR.
And Warriors have an advantage against Guardians over there in the solo lane, but not just Warriors. There's also Sun Wukong, who gets a lot of other Warriors fits in the solo lane matchup. So I think that's a big part of why we're seeing that, but also just a lot of pressure from Strictly Business on that side. Even Caden, you see him over there, even Baronic rotating in and having a lot of impact on that right-hand side. So that's where that lead is manifesting for him here so far. Caden does come over and pick up these Fire Elementals here. Going to be one of the final spawns here as we approach the 10-minute mark, where this will be getting replaced by the Fire Giant and Portal Demon. And with that right side pressure, it wouldn't be too hard for them to imagine taking some Portal Demons over.
But the hope right now for SoaR Gaming is that Keegsmate has a lead, a slight one, on that right side of the map. He's got a slight experience lead in terms of net worth as well. He's got about a 400 gold lead. So that's the hope for SoaR. Stormy Ray's lane is already over. There is no coming back from a deficit this big as a Guardian. You will just never be able to catch up in the laning phase. Now, that's not to say that he won't catch up once the team fighting starts, because we expect the Guardian to do a little bit more than even a Sun Wukong. We saw what Jarman was able to do last time against the Wukong in the team fighting phase. But how impactful can Stormy Rays be on this Sobek from this far behind? I mean, he's behind every single person on Strictly Business in levels except for Maloaise, and he's only up 1 level on him. So it's going to be very difficult to frontline effectively.
Strictly Business investing a good bit of their lead into vision over here on the left-hand side of the map. Perhaps recognizing, like you said, that Keegs is something that could be a bit of a problem for them in the late game. So try and get some Gold Fury vision as the ultimate's committed from Medieval Doc actually here on the left-hand side. Good wall from Caden to keep Medieval Doc from being able to come even further onto Baronic, and that's going to let him back on off and prevent any of that aggression from Medieval Doc.
Caden looking really, really clean in this game. Another perfect wall to block off the advance from Medieval Doc. Doesn't stop the stun or Talu assault damage onto Baronic, but makes sure that Medieval has to cancel it right then and there.
Caden, though, goes up into the ultimate, and it looks like he's trying to come down onto Keegs. Beads already comes out for Keegs' mate, and now it's time for the ultimate, which means he's going to be further back down the mid lane. Fatal Ghost and Caden coming in to try and help out with him, but Medieval Doc is lurking on the backside, and I think that's enough for Strictly Business to say, hey, we got the beads, got the ult. Let's just back up.
Wise choice by Strictly Business, and I like Caden's idea there. Only use the spin. If Keegs wait another half second, then you find the stun, and you probably burst him before he can get that ultimate off. You get the beads and the ult, just in exchange for Caden's ultimate. Well-timed gank.
And then come over here and force the issue around the Gold Fury. Good stun over the wall. One more time from Caden. Get some poke on the Shaliber and relating there in that mid lane. So they've got some time here with Keegs where he doesn't have the ultimate available, doesn't have the beads available. Looks like 115 seconds remaining on those beads for him there. So they got a chance to try and start this aggression over the Oracles and the Gold Fury, which is what they do. The Oracles get split, but Shaliber's the one getting stunned out by Caden. Ultimate from Baronic is off the mark, but the Mesmerize from Apollo is enough to keep Shaliber still stuck into this team fight. Relating comes over the top with his ultimate though, but it's Medieval Doc who's swinging that wand like a grand wizard and taking down Matt Coy's. Credit goes to Keegs.
Stormy Rays finds the pluck. Fatal Ghost way late on that Purification beads, but still will be able to escape. Nice engagement there on the Shaliber. It's just that Baronic was late with the ultimate. That's got to be a kill in that situation because Shaliber is way out of position, and so is Fatal Ghost. Not really. I mean, he's on his back car piece, but Relating chases him all the way down and is able to find that kill. That all comes back to Baronic. Just needs to be either quicker on that ultimate and find it while he's stunned to set up that kill, or needs to hit it when he's running away with the full charge. If that happens, Strictly Business doesn't get funneled into that little tiny area where they're getting hit by the Medieval Doc ult, the Shaliber ultimate. Relating hits a nice ult coming in. Stormy Rays able to make an impact on his first rotation in. Gets Fatal Ghost killed eventually, does a lot of damage to him and forces out the Purification beads as well. So SoaR Gaming ends up getting away with one there because they were caught in a bad spot, but good job by them to take advantage whenever Strictly Business didn't capitalize.
That does end up evening up at least the kill counts here now as it's 3-3. They're even there, 13 minutes into the game. Strictly Business, though, are sitting on about a 2,000 gold lead or so in their favor, maybe more around 1,800. So that's going to be where we're seeing them trying to establish some more pressure. But Keegs, though, does now have his ultimate available. Beads only about 15 seconds away from respawning. So that force out they did on the left-hand side, not able to get too much out of that in this last team fight.
Looking towards the Winged Blade in that third item slot. He's already got his Bancroft's Talon done. Not too far off now from Keegs being able to be a big player in these team fights. Already did quite a bit in that last team fight. And again, as I mentioned, that's SoaR's hope right now because Keegs is top of the net worth charts right there, even with Ryan Jarman. And that's your late game. Your late game for Strictly Business, that's Baronic, that's Fatal Ghost. Neither of them have a massive lead like Keegs does. He's got about 1,000 gold on both of those guys in terms of net worth, a little bit more than that even. So it's a good look for SoaR.
Shaliber does end up finishing out his item, and it looks like he chose the Gem of Isolation. So he's going to be a real menace in these team fights, slowing everyone down, especially with that ult. It hits just about everybody in the team fight. Such a big area it covers here, as Fatal Ghost does go ahead and pull the Gold Fury. Caden trying to get some poke on the right-hand side, but it's Medieval Doc who's right there in the face of that Gold Fury to try and stop Matt Coy's and Fatal Ghost from being able to pick it up. Caden waiting around here to try and see if he can find a way onto the back end of the team fight and just kind of trading here with Medieval Doc as Strictly Business do go ahead and give up the Gold Fury or back off.
Shaliber a little bit isolated with Caden, but the rest of Strictly Business wasn't in position. That was a good fight in my mind for SoaR because Ryan Jarman wasn't there. He's the one you have to worry about the most right now on Strictly Business, and a 4v4 on the left side of the map, that's something that you're probably willing to take if you're SoaR.
And this is what Keegs does so well, getting good poke off on the Maloaise, who's already down to half health, but he gets returned quickly by Kaden and Baronic. Baronic just charged that ultimate there, considering throwing it off, but wants to make sure he has it for this engagement. But they recognize relating here in the mid lane, getting the stun over the wall, and Ryan Jarman was coming in the back. One more time, Baronic is off the mark, but Kaden lands in the back line onto Keegs, whose ultimate is forced out. Fatal Ghost up into the air with that Apollo ultimate as well, but looks like he just has to land down in the back line, so not too much more coming up of it just yet.
Looking for Keegs in the backside, but he's got that Relic Dagger done now, so some extra HP going into the differences between Winged Blade and Relic Dagger later on, because Ryan Jarman is looking to disrupt this team fight as Strictly Business really want this Gold Fury. They might not get an opportunity.
It was 4 ultimates committed in that last fight for just 2 from the side of SoaR Gaming, so SoaR Gaming have the advantage as Kaden now is the one who's caught out a little bit on the right side. His bead's already popped, and Keegs catches him over the top there with that big damage coming out from him. So now it's a 5v4 here in favor of SoaR Gaming, but the health bars are very low, grouping up around Medieval Doc for the healing, but Keegs under a lot of stress here now. Ultimate from Shalibur does come out, but Baronic takes down Medieval Doc. StormyRez also able to get Fatal Ghost here, and StormyRez not even stopping. He's down here with 2 members, and he's having no trouble.
Keegs so low, but no one can seem to find the finishing hit. Jarman can, and Baronic's gonna dash forward here. Might have put himself into a bad spot, but StormyRez, the only one left. Plenty of damage onto those 3 members, but still enough tankiness to get out of danger as well. Red buff invade the call for Strictly Business as they look to steal it away, but Stormy shows up and tail whips it, secures it for SoaR.
Baronic charging that ultimate, not able to get anything out of StormyRez. He does commit it, but it's juked out. That fight overall, I believe, was a 2-for-1 there in favor of SoaR Gaming as Kaden and Fatal Ghost both fall. Kaden already back up and at his speed buff here now, and the Gold Fury wasn't able to be taken in that engagement, so it really ends up just kind of being a scrap over there on that left-hand side.
And no one can seem to finish off Keegs in that engagement. That's the biggest note for Strictly Business. They commit plenty to trying to find him. Kaden also very far forward, right where Shalibur is right now on the map, all by himself. He ends up getting picked off there and finished off by Keegs in particular, and I love this Relic Dagger pickup. I thought it was going to be a Winged Blade, because that's what most Chronoses still go for, but there was a change to Winged Blade. No longer gives attack speed. Now the attack speed is on Relic Dagger only, so you get some health, you get that attack speed that Chronos really wants in order to up his damage in that Accelerate form, and you're taking 30 seconds off of both your relics.
Keegs may look to be in trouble here as Maloaise rotates over, but he's got Medieval Docs waiting in the wings there for him. I want to ask you here, Aggro, look at the actives here, or relics rather, for both of Baronic and Shalibur, 2 mid laners. Apparently, they weren't under any duress in that last team fight. Neither one of them have been killed here so far. Is that strong positioning out of them, bad target selection? What's the reason why they don't seem to have been under any kind of stress?
Mostly good positioning, and really you don't want to go on a Shalibur right now because he's just really tanky and not doing a lot of damage anyways, so you're not too worried about it. Yeah, he's top of the player damage charts right now for SoaR, but a lot of that is because Strictly Business just grouped up during his ultimate because they're not really respecting the damage that it's going to be putting out, and really for good reason. 90 power from the Gem of Isolation is pretty solid, but after that, you're not really looking at a lot.
Baronic charging the ultimate, though, not able to commit it onto StormyRez there. Once again, though, Jarman came in and got a Tiger stun off onto him, but there wasn't really any follow-up. But a wall there does keep Medieval Doc isolated for a moment. Stun over the wall one more time for Baronic. He's been doing a real good job with those. And Fatal Ghost, once again, has committed his ultimate. I think he expected there to be a bigger fight there than there was, but they go in on the Gold Fury. Kaden up into the air, and he comes crashing down on the Shalibur in the backline. Jarman ultimate also committed here, and he's up into the air, but StormyRez waiting down underneath Fatal Ghost, trying to get some damage out. Shalibur in the backline, but Caden's chasing him down. They both got sprint, and he's got him with the spin to win.
Now Koi's in a lot of trouble. Keegs may get to take a big chunk of damage, but not before he finishes off Koi's. Good pluck from StormyRez, puts Fatal Ghost right into the thick of things, and Keegs with a perfectly positioned rewind puts him right on top of Baronic.
Jarman, though, gets the Tiger stun off onto him to stop him putting more damage into Baronic. Hold that thought, Baronic! You just got yourself a ticket back to base, courtesy of Keegs, and now it's Ryan Jarman who's in trouble. The stun does come out. Medieval Doc getting those overhand attacks there into his back. Jarman with a knock-up, and that's enough to keep him alive. Actually, really good knock-up from him there, from Ryan Jarman.
Keegs is making it happen right now for SoaR. This is the Keegs made show because he is 4-0, level 17. He's now even Ryan Jarman in terms of the XP, and he's putting himself in a perfect position every single time, and no one's looking at him from Strictly Business, just like no one was looking at Fatal Ghost in Game 1 on the side of SoaR. No one's looking at Keegs. Shalibur is still the focus, and he's not the one that you really have to worry about. Strictly Business actually steals that away. Fatal Ghost, so beautiful with that steal.
SoaR Gaming thought they were going to be able to get that for free. No one on zoning duty. Fatal Ghost kind of just walks up and takes it, actually, in that engagement. Now, that does end up going in favor there of Strictly Business, so they still have about a 4K or so gold lead. But take a look here. We thought it was going to be the Wing Blade coming out from Kronos here, but it looks like he actually picked up, I think that's the Relic Dagger, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, again, the attack speed, the main reason. Wing Blade does give you that slow immunity, but there's not a lot of slows on the side of Strictly Business. The only one you're really worried about is Ryan Jarman with that Master's Will. So Relic Dagger, with getting the attack speed, reducing the cooldown of your relics as well, keeping you a little bit safer. Part of the reason why Strictly Business probably doesn't want to full commit to Keegs, because between Rewind and 2 low cooldown relics, it's going to be difficult to kill him, but still going to be easier than Shaliber, who's got a ton of HP from Gem of Isolation and HP and protections from that Hide of the Urchin.
Hide of the Urchin is completed there for him. Doesn't look like he has any stacks on it just yet there, so he's not getting a whole lot of extra protections out of it, but once he's able to get it some, he'll be truly unkillable. If they thought he's hard to kill now, once he gets that going, he'll be even worse for him. On the right-hand side, Tier 1 tower has already fallen. That was something that we kind of expected, though, as Ryan Jarman has had control over here almost the entire game. Ward control over here for SoaR Gaming is very strong, so they're the ones that have vision control over this right-hand side of the map.
I'd really like to see Ryan Jarman pick up a relic or runic shield here, because you're going to be reducing magical damage from 3 members of SoaR, and it's going to be really relevant against 2 in particular, Stormy Raze and Shaliber, neither of whom are building a lot of magical power at this point. Reducing 50 from them is a really big deal, so that could really not only help against Keegs' mate, you get that physical power, some magical protection, and you take away his magical power. It's going to make you tankier against the guy who's really doing the majority of the damage right now, but also against Stormy and Shaliber. I mean, look at the 3 top damage dealers for SoaR Gaming. All magical sources, Runic Shield, a really undervalued item in my mind.
Right now, the experience lead for Strictly Business is a big part of why I think things are being really difficult for him. We see Barani has about a 1.5 level lead there over Shaliber, who just went level 14. And again, Ryan Jarman so far ahead of Stormy Raze over there. So it's been hard for them to fight into it. They tried to start up the Portal Demon here, but Shaliber already had cooldowns forced out there. He had to use the beads to try and get away from some of the aggression. Fatal Ghost coming back to the Portal Demon. They are able to secure it. And now Medieval Doc, the one taking a bunch of damage. Barani does use the ultimate, but it wasn't enough. Katie goes up into the air, though, in an attempt to try and track down Medieval Doc. He lands in the back, doesn't get any damage off, but does cut off his escape path. Shaliber's Aegis forced out over there as well, as Medieval Doc is trying to escape. Fatal Ghost jumps down, but gets juked out one more time. You cannot kill the wizard, it would seem, as Medieval Doc continues to try and escape. Shaliber rotating over to try and help, and Caden gets taken down on the back line after overcommitting.
So much expended to try and kill Medieval, and he's still alive. 2 global ultimates used, and both end up missing. The follow-up ends up missing. The shell there was huge to keep Medieval alive, but even still, at that point, it wasn't worth it for Strictly Business. Yes, they get the Portal Demon, but losing Caden in the process, and more importantly, that was a team fight that it looked like they could really win fairly easily, but instead, they end up chasing a kill that didn't really matter. Medieval's out of that fight. He's gone. Let him go. Kill everyone else in front of you. Shaliber's low health. He just used Aegis. Yes, he's running towards his tier 2 tower, but if Fatal Ghost continues that push, maybe you find Shaliber. That's a much more relevant kill than Medieval Doc. Just way too much tunnel vision from Strictly Business. Ends up losing them their jungler.
Yeah, he was heading toward the tier 2 tower, but it didn't seem like they were afraid of overcommitting.
Clearly not.
Fatal Ghost and Caden were willing to commit their ultimates to go way deep into the back line, so I agree. Once those cooldowns are down for Shaliber, it was definitely a strong target for him, despite how tanky he is here at this point in the game. But now, Strictly Business, though, able to get that Portal Demon, but committing a little bit too much and not getting as much they possibly could have out of that fight. Right now, the only big neutral objective here up on the map is the Fire Giant. Gold Fury is about 40 seconds away from respawning, though, so that's certainly an area where we could see some fighting here from these teams, as SoaR Gaming still down about 4K gold despite holding the kill lead.
And it really feels like SoaR's been in control of this game for the most part, but it's been Strictly Business stealing away that Gold Fury was a big difference maker. Caden's in a ton of trouble in mid. He's going to die. Cannot afford to use your hammer aggressively like that. And honestly, using it on Shaliber doesn't really matter. He's too tanky to kill. It's time to save that poke for only Keegs. And that's the tough part about playing Thor against something like Zhong Kui. A big reason why you're picking your character just feels negated.
Relating goes in with that ultimate and starts off the team fight. He's going to be keeping them busy there on the back line, trying to stop Maloaise and Baronic from having any impact on the fight. Fatal Ghost also commits the ultimate and comes in way in the back, but Ryan Jarman is the one who's using that lead to keep 3 members busy from SoaR Gaming. Relating though, and Stormy Ray's still here, tries to give him the shell, but it's not enough. Baronic cleans up Stormy Ray's, and it's a 1-for-1 if you consider Caden getting taken way back at the beginning.
Stormy just on a completely different page than the rest of SoaR. Everyone else from SoaR is backing up. They're in the middle of mid lane, and Stormy Ray's dashes forward, misses the pluck. Doesn't matter if he hits that pluck. He's dead every single time if he goes in that situation. Just really bad lack of situational awareness from Stormy.
And with Caden respawning much faster here than Stormy Ray's, it'll be a 5 against 4 here for Strictly Business. That's likely why they're going ahead and pulling this Gold Fury down below half health. Tiger Stun coming out from Ryan Jarman, and Caden was up in the air to follow up immediately. Lots of low health bars for Team Red, but it's Shaliber in particular who's in a lot of trouble. Baronic takes down Relating on the right-hand side, and Ryan Jarman takes down Shaliber. Medieval Doc is next, though, after a good wall coming out from Fatal Ghost, and that's a 4-for-0 trade in favor of Strictly Business, and they got eyes on the Fire Giant.
Stormy Ray's did just respawn, and Jarman's got to worry about Keegsmate in the mid lane. Even Baronic hanging around a little bit in this mid. I like this call. Allowed 3 people to go and take down this Fire Giant. You don't need more than that. Fatal Ghost has got the Executioner. He's got the Poison Star. As long as someone else is taking it up for him, or even if he tanks it up himself with those Devourer's Gauntlets, he's got enough damage. Make sure that no one can get even close. That's exactly what Strictly Business do. A free Fire Giant for them after a perfect initiation by Caden. What was that, a 3-man dunk? Baronic able to clean up 1 low health target. Caden and the rest with another perfect wall from Caden end up cleaning up Medieval Doc as well. And it's just SoaR Gaming not respecting the ultimate from Caden, not really realizing that he'd be back that soon. He died in the beginning of that engagement, as you mentioned, and he's coming back from base with that ultimate available. Takes that, you just need that extra second of, hey, we can get Thor dunked here. They don't have it, and all of a sudden it all goes Strictly Business's way.
They also end up getting that tier 1 tower in the mid lane, do Strictly Business, as now they come over and take this Gold Fury that is the freest to free, and go ahead and back up to start trying to spin that darn near 7 to 8K gold lead that they're sitting on here now. Kill lead also evened up here at 27 minutes in the game, 9 to 9, and Strictly Business are now firmly in the driver's seat, and they can start looking to try and take down some of these towers. There's still 4 up, all tier 2s, and the tier 1 over on that duo side of the map.
Gotta be worried about Keegsmate still, though. I know that Strictly Business has gotten a big lead now. They've got Fire Giant, but he's still 4-0. He's still level 20.
I think
he's
he just finished
Ratatouille.
Yeah,
that's a lot of scary reasons to be scared of Kronos right now, and you gotta check Keegsmate in this team fight if you're Strictly Business. Baronic almost has his Rod of Tahuti done. As soon as that's finished, you don't have to worry about Kronos quite as much anymore, because 1 stun from Caden is all he needs to blow him up with Final Judgment, as long as it's already preemptively charged. Look for Keegsmate in this fight. Caden, Jarman, Maloaise, Baronic, Fatal Ghost, everyone on the entire map needs to be aware of where Keegs is and how exposed he can be in these team fights.
And Ryan Jarman's been doing such a good job for Strictly Business of being their initiator for them. Terra is able to do it, but she's so much better at that second wave, that counter initiation. So Ryan Jarman goes in, gets the Tiger Stun, gets the knock up onto a couple members. That's what we saw setting up like Baronic and Caden to have a big impact here in these team fights. So worried about Keegs here on SoaR Gaming. Also make sure your eyes are on Ryan Jarman here for Strictly Business, as they do group up over here on that tier 2 tower on the left-hand side. Relating, trying to come around here on that right side and try and stop Caden, who was split pushing on the mid lane like we see our assassins do so often. Ultimate being charged from Baronic, but doesn't let it go. Maloaise gets good damage on the Shaliber, who's forced to back up. Now it's Ryan Jarman who's been plucked back into the backside of the team fight, and his ultimate has to come out early.
Koiz takes a decent amount of poke there as Fatal Ghost still trying to finish off this tier 2 tower, as Stormy Ray's gets stunned by Baronic, who's still bluffing with that Final Judgment charge. Caden handled Relating in that mid lane. Relating had to use the ultimate to get away, whereas Caden able to save his. Yes, he's low on HP a little bit, but between the Fire Giant heal and the Terra Monolith, that's not going to be the case for long.
SoaR Gaming unable to defend that tier 2 on the left-hand side, and then unable to regroup for this tier 2 in the mid as well. So those have both been taken down. Strong poke coming out on the Shaliber here, and that's an aggression here from Ryan Jarman to try and take the kill. Caden is up in the air in that Thor ult, and he came down, partnering with Fatal Ghost, both on the tier together. They take down Shaliber. Now it's Medieval Doc forced to use that ultimate just to try and get away, and Keegsmate taking a lot of damage. The Aegis was still available for him, and Maloaise doesn't want to give it up for free, but they back up here to that Phoenix.
Nice pluck by Stormy Ray's. Koiz still tanking up that Phoenix. Koiz gonna fall here to Stormy, even without that ultimate being popped. Now gonna put it onto Fatal Ghost, but that's stepping way too far forward against late game carries. Baronic fires off Final Judgment, a little bit off the mark, but still forces the rewind out from Keegsmate. 4 members still here, but it's against 3 from SoaR. Strictly Business thinking twice about pushing this Phoenix.
Keegsmate uses one of his 20 extra lives there at the end of that fight with his ultimate, so now he's back up, but that won't be available for him if the aggression continues here from Strictly Business. Keegsmate very low, one more time, up into the ultimate is Ryan Jarman. He goes over, but it wasn't quite enough, and now he's been stunned out, using, though, his 72 transformations. He escapes, but SoaR immediately gets deleted. He only had eyes on Ryan Jarman, I think, and he gets blown up for it.
That's the problem with Zhang Kui, man. No long-range damage. You gotta walk right into the teeth of the enemy team, and gets met by a couple crits, a couple hieroglyphic assaults as well.
The Phoenix on the left-hand side falls, and the mid lane Phoenix is also very low. Relating goes in and gets mezzed out by Fatal Ghost, and they return a good bit of damage for him. Caden looks like he was getting stunned out there, but Keegsmate backs up. Caden's ultimate does come out, though. He's up into the air and just using it to back out as they take both Phoenixes. And now they're backing up with that tier 2 on the right-hand side still available. Gold lead expanding out now to about 14,000.
Good discipline from Caden. Used the Purification Beads offensively. He did get hit by that stop time, but you have a couple moments to use Purification Beads to get away from that stun with Chronos. And Caden did that to try and stay aggressive and chase the enemy into their Titan room, but realized he'd immediately got bitten off a little bit more than he wanted and decided to use the ultimate just to disengage.
Excellent timing here from Strictly Business. Portal Demon, they take it right as the Fire Giant respawns. They'll have time to go back, spin a bunch of that gold that they just got from towers and other structures, and then come back in here and take down this Fire Giant, looking to be lightly contested here by Relating, but he's the only one local, and Matt Koiz is up there trying to keep him from contesting.
Relating, not even going to get a chance. He's going to use Mystic Rush just to get away, because Baronic use that Final Judgment just to secure the Fire Giant. And like I was saying in game 1, Baronic probably shouldn't be the target because Fatal Ghost was doing so much in these team fights. This time it's the other way around. Baronic has been absolutely killing it in this game. He's been the one to really set up a lot of what Strictly Business has been doing. Final Judgment accuracy, probably not particularly high in this game, but the stun accuracy really has been. It's been the stuns from Evade and Punish that Baronic has really made the most impact with in this game. He's been top of the player damage charts all game long. It's time for SoaR Gaming to try and get on top of Baronic, but at this point, they might not have enough to do so.
SoaR did push out the minion wave on that left-hand side, but in the mid lane, it's still going to be a problem as they push down the right-hand side here, does SoaR Gaming. It's 5-man strong here. They're still not going into that objective just yet, waiting on their minion wave to come in and try and tank up some of that aggro for him. But Caden is split pushing, trying to make sure those minions do get in there and start harassing the Titan as Ryan Jarman goes in and gets the stun on the SoaR to start off the fight on the right-hand side. Pluck comes out from StormyRaize, and big follow-up from Baronic there to try and get back some more damage.
Fatal Ghost still looking at that. Phoenix is Relating, forced to ult away. Another good stun from Baronic over the wall as the right side Phoenix has been knocked down. Now Strictly Business has SoaR's Titan completely exposed.
That Phoenix on the right-hand side is down. That's all of them down. And now SoaR Gaming have to try and stop them from bringing in minion waves on the right-hand side, those fire minions, and through the middle lane. All 5 members are here, and StormyRaize is trying to be the front line for him, but it's too late game. He's getting blown up every time he steps out. Just the stun over the wall brings Keegs down to almost half health, and you can hear Baronic channeling up that Final Judgment because he knows if he can get it off onto one target, then this game is over.
Titan still full HP though, and these waves still waiting a little bit longer. SoaR takes some really good poke over that wall. He uses the Final Judgment from Baronic. That one's gonna hit and find SoaR, and as you mentioned, John, this could be game because of it. Caden right onto the Titan. Looks like Strictly Business gonna get there 2-0.
Yeah, as soon as that Final Judgment goes through for Baronic, Caden goes into his ultimate, and they know that this is our chance to take the 4v5 and go in on the Titan. That's what they do, and they take it down. Very well played there.
Strictly Business looking pretty clean in that one. It looked like SoaR might be able to get back into it because Keegs was on a roll.
Yeah.
I don't know if Keegs ever ended up dying in that game. He might have finished that one 4-0, but it doesn't matter because he wasn't able to make a big enough impact. Zhang Kui is a good pick in that scenario because of how little Caden could do to him in those team fights to start it off with the poke, but just not enough damage overall. StormyRaize fell way too far behind in that solo lane, and you have to come up with a contingency plan. If you're going to be putting a Guardian in that solo lane, you know you're going to get pressured out. You know there's going to be invades on that right-hand side. You have to draft something in that mid lane or in support or jungle that's going to help you protect those buffs, and SoaR just didn't have it.
And you hit the nail right on the head there. Ryan Jarman was such a big problem there from that game on that Sun Wukong, getting out the Tiger Stunts, forcing out relics, being the initiator for him in those objectives. So it was very difficult for them to try and get anything to come back up, and he was doing a good job setting up the rest of his team.
And Baronic was able to go out this game completely unchecked once again. He was excellent on this Thoth all game long. The long-range stuns, as we mentioned, Final Judgments left a little bit to be desired at times, but
Boom.
Not with this one.
Yeah, he was able to take down Chalber there, and that was what ended the rest of that fight. Like you said, maybe not always right on with those final judgments, but it was those stuns that were really so oppressive there and making things difficult for SoaR Gaming, setting it up like that one for Ryan Jarman to end up getting the kill. He did a good job pulling the trigger for him and pulling out plenty of damage.
And that's what's so potent about Thoth, is that gods like Poseidon, if your Krakens aren't amazing, you're probably not going to be having a very good game. Thoth can afford to miss that ultimate and still make a big impact because of how much damage he has for the long-range distance, how safe he can be, and of course how much he can set up for himself and his team with that stun. It's what makes him one of the best mids in the game right now.
Yeah, and that's not even to talk about. I mean, Fatal Ghost was kind of felt like unchecked that whole game too. He was able to rotate in and start putting in tons of damage without any kind of problems for him as well. He used that Apollo, the split push part of it, very, very well throughout the game.
He did. He was just always putting pressure around the map. And even that last team, the second to last team fight, I should say, where Chalber gets deleted by the double global ultimates there, that was just really good timing between Fatal Ghost and Caden. They both come crashing down. Chalber uses beads, doesn't get stunned, but between all that damage instantly, never got a chance to use the Aegis.
Yeah, well, very well played there from Strictly Business there in that last set. We do have a lot more SCL action up for you. In particular, we got to finish out week one to have a little bit of problems. So we got some week one coming up here for you. Just going to be a real quick break, and we'll be right back.
Good quality audio in a match is probably one of the most important things. Communication between your team it is the most important thing outside of playing the game, obviously.
Having good audio and like just a good headset is insane because there's the crowd cheering, there's people yelling near you, there's your teammates yelling.
I would definitely invest in audio equipment the same way I would with any other gear that revolves around playing Smite.
Being able to know what's up, calling timers, and being able to coordinate strategies and whatnot it's incredibly important, and that's what separates the best teams from the worst.
Esports is the new hotness. Just as important as the players and coaches are the commentators, translate and highlight the story for the audience. And it's a fun job, but it's tougher than it sounds.
Went alive, aggressive roll, and she gets acids right there.
I have no idea how you did that.
It doesn't matter how you try to hit them if nothing lands.
There's just something about you that we all love.
We've had thousands of submissions, and we whittled it down to 10. And compete for an opportunity at fame, fortune, and the opportunity to cast hi-rez Studios' HRX Smite World Championship.
And win $10,000.
The stage has been set.
The players are ready.
Everyone wants this job. It's yelling about video games.
Sick him, boy. Wow, what an amazing damage.
We're gonna see who comes out on top. And who is the caster.
You promised me to tell if there's anything haunting you. You leave without saying where you're going or where to. Should I worry that you won't come back? Should I worry that you will forget? My sense is telling me I shouldn't worry and know the truth. Ooh, yeah. I can never take away our story now. And I know you feel it too, our story. You promised me to tell if there's anything haunting you. And you leave me unaware if I might have been hurting you. Ooh, should I worry that you won't come back or accept any time as a fact? My heart is telling me I shouldn't worry and know the truth. Ooh, yeah. I can never take away our story now. We've come too far to waste our story. It's our story now. Let's go. in my